This courseware video introduces the color corrector tool and shows how it can be used to automatically color balance a shot based on a reference image. The footage found in this video are the two NTSC JPEG sequences found in the courseware footage street and courseware footage street blue folders. Click and drag on any file in the sequence and drop it into the flow in order to add that clip to the flow. View the first clip in the left view and view the second clip in the right view. The left view shows a shot of the street outside the Eyeon offices. The right view shows a different angle of the same environment, but the white balance of the camera has been incorrectly set. Drag one of the loaders from the flow to the time ruler to set the render range to the length of the clip. This is 56 frames. Change the global end time to 56 as well. Add a color corrector to the composition by locating the button labeled CC in the toolbar and click dragging it into the right display view. This adds the color corrector tool to the composition and is automatically displayed in the view. Examine the controls for the color corrector on the right-hand side of the screen. The top row of buttons are used to select the mode of the color corrector tool, and the buttons below are used to select the range of colors that are affected. The default region is the master channel, which represents all of the pixels in the image. You can also make adjustments to the shadows, midtones, and highlights. The color wheel below the buttons is used to adjust the tint, hue, and saturation of the image. Click and drag in the center of the control wheel to tint the image in the selected range. For fine control and smaller adjustments, hold down the control key while dragging. Note that adjustments made to the shadow tint are not destroyed when you switch to the midtone tint. Switching modes simply disables the controls for the other ranges, it does not replace them. The outer wheel can be used to adjust the saturation and hue of the image. Saturation is controlled by adjusting to the left and to the right, and hue by rotating along the edges of the wheel. You can also use the hue and saturation sliders below the image for finer control over these values. The sliders below the color wheel control the contrast, gain, gamma, and brightness of the selected range. 4 buttons let you choose which color channels are affected. Note that the controls are cumulative. It is possible to affect the contrast of the highlights in the green channels, for example. In combination, these controls make the primary and secondary color correction using a color corrector a snap. Click on the Reset All Color Changes button to reset all of the controls in this tab. Our goal is to make the image on the right match the image on the left. One way to accomplish this would be to examine the histograms for each image and to adjust the clip with the blue cast to match the histogram of the reference image. To turn on display of the histogram in the views, click on the Sub-V button in the Display toolbar, or press V on the keyboard to display the subview for the active view. The default view type is histogram, but clicking on the flyout for the subview button will display a menu showing a variety of different options for the subview. Right-click in the subview to display a context menu showing options for the view. Then set the histogram to show the blue channel. If you click in the subview to make it active, you can also use the B keyboard shortcut to change the displayed channel. Note the differences between the two channels in the histogram. We could try adjusting the various controls in the color corrector until the problem clip matches the reference clip more closely. However, the color corrector tool offers an even easier method for matching a reference image. Connect the reference image to the green input on the color corrector's tool tile. Switch the color corrector's mode to histogram. Below the histogram is a button called Match. Click on the button, and the color corrector will attempt to match the histogram of the source image with the histogram of the reference. Press spacebar to play the clip back and see how well the image matches. Note that the image appears to phase, shifting with variations in the match from frame to frame. This occurs because we are matching using a changing histogram as our reference. Find a frame with the most pleasing match, then click on the Snapshot Reference button. This snapshots the reference histogram at the current frame. The match is nearly perfect, but it could still stand some improvement. Specifically, there appears to be a blue cast to the highlights of the image. Change the color correction from the Correction tab to the Ranges tab. We can use the controls in this tab to adjust which pixels are considered to be a part of the highlight and shadow ranges. Midtones are pixels not found in either the shadow or highlight range. Select the Highlights button, and Fusion will display a black and white image in the views showing which pixels are considered highlights and which are not. Adjust the control until a much larger percentage of the image is considered to be a highlight. Normally, the color corrector only displays the highlight range interactively. If you accidentally leave the color corrector in highlight mode during a final render, the tool will still output the correct full color version of the image. If you want to output the highlight range you see here for use by other tools, then select the checkbox below, labeled Output the range you see now as final render. Click on the Result button to return to normal processing, then switch back to the Color tab. Change from the Histogram mode to the Suppress mode using the buttons at the top of the tool. This mode is used to suppress a specific color from the image. Click on the Highlights button, then drag the blue point on the color wheel towards the center. This will suppress blue from the highlights of the image. Rotate the suppression angle until you've eliminated the exact color that we desire to remove. The image may also benefit from a small adjustment to the gain of the highlights. The end result is an excellent match with the reference image. Let's compare the reference with the source using the split mode wipe mode of the display view. Click on the A-B button in the display view toolbar or press the period key while the view is active. Drag the reference image into the second half of the view and use the separator to wipe between the two images. This concludes the courseware video for the color corrector tool.